This episode contains adult content. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sounds Like Crows. This is a bit of a shorter episode. Sorry about that. Sometimes it happens, y'all. Since we wrapped up our survey, I really shoot for that 45 to 50 minute zone. But this episode, there was so much content that I just cut out that you do not want to listen to. But it's a good one. Thank you to all of our patrons that make this show possible. Jonathan Turner, thank you. Jared, thank you. Kyle Neese, thank you. Ariel Weiss, thanks. Greg Gray, thank you. And then this week, thank you to Chase, Corin Lee, Kate, William Stepro, Wade Bernier. Thank you all so much. Music on the show is provided by Rudy Zuniga, Levi Rojas, James Quinn, Renee Wanger, or myself. Special thanks to Alexandria Machen, our executive producer. And with all of that out of the way, welcome back to the Weird West. Abel Crow, having left the horses behind somewhere in the piney wilderness, is trudging towards the town. The roarous laughter is turned to melancholy by the wind by the time it reaches his ears, and the lights of the town are long since past dying and now are dim embers, companions to those holding on to the night that has already passed them. The drizzle has turned into rain, the dark storm clouds blotting out the moon, and Abel trudges through the mud towards the town of Gunthersville. It's at times like this, Abel, that your recently acquired age most speaks to your bones. That ache that accompanies the storms, the weakening of your muscles, that would, to a person that aged normally, be a gradual thing that you barely noticed, but to you, someone that spent your life in the field, it's jarring to feel your body fail you so quickly. You catch a glimpse of one of your brothers on the rooftop, and before your eyes glance up, you would swear that two of them were up there. But as you glance up to see Ellis, you just see him staring at you on your approach, a bottle raised to your entrance to this now muddied town. We get a shot of Ellis's smiling face as he smiles and raises a bottle, and then the camera cuts over his shoulder, looking down at Abel, his figure turned more grim by the angle itself, like just a small child standing on the ground compared to his brother above him.
Welcome to Gunthersville.
Yeah. Where is everybody?
They're sleeping up here.
Abel's mood is dark, both from pain, frustration, the emotional toll of the last several days. He takes the hat off his head, shakes it clear of water, and then replaces it, staring up at Ellis. I'm gonna get food. Come on down when you're ready.
Yeah, I'll join you. And Alice just kind of hops off the top of his roof. You need something to drink?
I do, brother. I do.
Kind of clangs around in his satchel, produces just a random bottle of liquor, and gives it to you.
Abel takes a nip.
Just restocked this. Looks like I'm gonna have to buy some more while we're here. Your kids can drink.
Let's get this and some coffee together. I need something to warm up.
Yeah, it's a real shame. There was a party here earlier. We missed it.
That's the way it seems to go. As Abel and Ellis turn away and walk in the direction that Abel's nose leads them towards food, Abel's thoughts and mood are dark. In his now aged body, it seems like he has been doing this for decades, cleaning up and chasing down the sins of others. And his patience wears thin.
Well, we did it. I'd say that went pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say so too. We only, clipped 3 or 4 of them?
Yeah, and then there's those, the guys on the road.
Yeah, but I don't know if they count. I don't feel bad about them anyway.
What are you gonna do with them? Your kids?
Yeah. The silence is a little bit too long, lasting for several strides through this muck. I don't know. I'd like if they just went home, did what they were supposed to, but...
You know, we could, send them on down to Dodge. They seem like they might be up for the idea. Have Eliza put them to work.
I had not thought of that. That's fine. They will do that.
Sounds good to me. Don't know where we're gonna find a train, but you can send a telegram, send them on their way.
That'll sort them out. They're resourceful. Get them a horse, send them out. I'm sure they'll find their way. Ellis,
Yeah,
how are they?
they seem fine, actually. They seem in pretty good spirits. Why?
It's been a while.
Yeah, Reno, was it? There's some resentment there. That's for sure.
Well, if she'd just learned to mind, maybe she wouldn't have had that built up.
Well, it sounds like you guys have a lot to work out. Hopefully we make it out of this alive, and who knows where this might take you.
This is gonna take us to Crane, Ellis. I don't know where it takes them, I know where it takes me.
They're some of the few crows that are left in this world. Maybe it's not too late to set them straight.
Abel considers this for a moment as they step up onto the boardwalk under the awning of the restaurant and let themselves dry for a minute before entering inside to that world of civilization and warmth. I thought so, Ellis, but I think that moment may be past.
Yeah, can I ask you something? You think that we should take Harper and Lucky with us?
What do you mean?
Feels like, in the state of mind that Harper's in right now, I feel like he might be a liability.
Yeah,
On top of that, I think the two of them are the only ones that maybe have a chance of going to the other place when they die. You, me, and Thaddeus, and that ship has sailed long ago. But we got your kids. Maybe we can convince them to, I don't know, I'll give them some money. They can go wherever they want. It'd be a shame for them to die right now, after all we've done. No chance to repent.
Ellis, I admire your idealism. Their eyes have been opened. There is no going back from what they've seen and what they've done.
You want to oppose me giving it one more try, will you?
No, I would not stand in your way. You may try, as millions of others have. There is no salvation for any of us, Ellis. Not from the moment we are born. There's a thin path that a few of us walk, but straying from it, there is no way back.
Maybe we can get some help from Eliza.
Yeah. There's one thing I do regret, Ellis. It's not making the hard decisions before. Sometimes, those around us are too weak to make the best choice. And it falls to us to take it upon ourselves to bear their pain and deliver them to salvation.
Well said.
And I'll ask one thing of you.
What's that?
You keep the two of them, Reno, Hannibal. You keep them on that path for me.
I'll do my best. I think Eliza has a better shot at that than I do.
That she may. Can you still taste coffee?
I'll share a cup with you.
Thank you.
Caleb, would it be possible to buy a wagon?
Yeah, sure.
I've got $370.
$50 sounds good.
Aren't we renting it?
Yeah,
So
can't we
somebody
just
would be
rent one?
driving it,
Can we-
right?
Oh, you want to rent it?
They're just giving us a trip.
If that's possible, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, you just want like south to a rail line?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, then if you just want to like hitch a ride on a wagon, well, maybe do you even just want to get into a stagecoach? Do you want to hire a stagecoach in the early morning hours?
Yeah.
Then that's
Yeah.
basically nothing. That's like $20 for the lot of you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, he tells you, he can just take you south to the rail line.
Cool.
I think, though, Alex, in the process of negotiating that, in these early morning hours, the witching hour, the rain is still pitter-pattering above you on these awnings, on these stairs-stepped buildings above you. The night of drinking has faded away into silent debauchery and vomiting. There's no alleyways for people to hide their shame, so it's just these congregations of of people laughing and huddling together, arms wrapped around each other, as you and Abel stand in front of this lit 24-hour restaurant somehow, talking to this kind of drunk stagecoach driver who is just looking to get on his way. And if he can make a deal with you, why not? While that's happening, Hannibal pulls himself up, awoken by the rain, clearing it away from his eyes, pulling himself up on this rooftop. He glances around, noticing the rest of the crows are asleep, not noticing that Lucky has not actually managed to fall asleep. And he moves to the side of the building, leaning over one of these brick-laid stones. He peeks to the stagecoaches and then peeks to the left, and with a shocked gasp, he pulls himself down behind the stones as he noticed 3 members of the posse that's been following you has started to ride into town. He looks around and then quickly shambles over to Harper, shaking him awake.
Harper opens his eye with a bit of a scare.
Uncle, someone's coming.
All right. I think he rolls over kind of slowly and then does like a low crawl to peek over the top of the building.
The sound of a hammer cocking comes from beside you, accompanying the pitter-patter of the now steady rain that seemingly soaked you in the night. 3 riders, one of them with a lantern jangling off the side of their horse, are coming into town, and we get a close-up of Harper's one eye lit by that lantern dimly in the rain as he glances from those 3 over to his 2 brothers discussing rates with a stagecoach rider not 60 feet away.
I think he lets out a sigh and leans over and kind of starts shaking his brothers awake. All right, Lot, it's time to get up. Time to go to work.
What's all the commotion about, Hart?
Well, what the hell?
Looks like Abel and Ellis is about to get had, so
Ah, shit.
yeah, I only see 3 of them, but they're armed.
Well, I mean, the boys can handle themselves. So, I mean, what's really the problem?
Shut the fuck up, Thaddeus. All right, we got to get moving one way or another. If this turns into a shootout, we're going to need the way out.
Yeah, let's go back him up. Lucky kind of scrambles his way off the roof. Is there like a gutter I can kind of shimmy down?
Yeah. I mean, are you planning to sneak up on these 3 before they make contact to your brothers? You're going to have to act quickly if you don't want them to spot them.
I was planning on just setting up here in kind of a sniping position with my rifle.
How close are they? Can we just get into a stagecoach and avoid this completely?
The scene that I'm picturing is there's 2 sides to this main street, these buildings packed together so tightly with no alleyways in between, and you're on one building that's like in the entry to the town, and that's where these 3 riders are coming in, and they're almost directly down from you in the center of the street. Like you could lean over and with a hefty throw toss down a boulder on them or something, you know. And then to your right, further into the town, sort of halfway down the main street, is the dim light coming from this restaurant pouring out to your 2 brothers and the stagecoach.
They're closer to Ellis and Abel than we are.
Or they're about to be with their horses, yeah.
As soon as Lucky starts making his way to the edge of the building, Harper reaches down and pulls up Grace, his rifle, checks to make sure that it's loaded, and then sets his bead right on the middle of these riders, and then just kind of waits to see what happens.
Hannibal follows suit, steadying his pistol barrel on the edge of the building.
You said there are like drunken compatriots all over the place.
Yeah, definitely the night of debauchery has gone into these early morning hours.
Can I whisper insults into another person or goad them into starting a fight?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I want to find the nearest person, the strongest, biggest looking, meanest person.
Yeah.
And I want to goad them into fighting other people.
Yeah, make a taunt roll at +2 because they're super drunk.
Sweet.
Uh-oh. Oh, he's taunted.
That's a 27.
What the fuck?
Whoa. Lucky's very good at one thing, Caleb.
Seriously, though.
How does this fight spill out into the street?
I imagine it's almost kind of like a domino effect of you kind of tap one shoulder, whisper something along the lines of like, hey, they think they're better than you, et cetera, et cetera. That starts a fight. that fight gets kind of spread into another one, and then almost like a contagion, it spreads throughout the whole town where everyone's swinging.
Has ever seen Idiocracy?
We cut over to Ellis and Abel as like a commotion draws your eyes to the entry to the town. At least one entry to the street, right? Like you're in the middle, and on one side a fight breaks out into the street. You see a guy violently thrown into the mud, splashing the liquid, catching the light of the buildings that are still alive with whoever is awake at this time of night. And beyond them are the three riders that pull up coming into town. Maybe it's not immediately clear to the two of you that these are the posse members, but it's certainly a possibility.
It can never be easy, can it?
Not when you're a crow. Where are the boys? Want me to get them or you got them?
Lucky's going to perch himself right next to the stagecoach that you guys are at. Fellas, I think we need to get out of here ASAP.
Yep, I think you're right about that, Lucky. Where are the rest?
He kind of just nods up.
The glint of barrels at midnight.
Can I just go in the street and like wave my arms, try and motion these guys to get the fuck down from the roof and come over here?
I mean, we're watching you.
Yeah.
We can probably, yeah.
So yeah, just walk in the middle of the street and start waving my arms at them.
The riders looking at this commotion in front of them look past the commotion to you, Ellis, like
Okay.
walking in the street. One of them spurs their horse forward, trying to make their way past this commotion. I'm gonna make a riding roll. They blew a 6. 7. They spur their horse forward, knocking these two figures into the mud, breaking up the fight, and at the same time pushing themselves towards you on their horse, with the other two kind of caught behind the commotion. This one rider comes closer to you, Ellis, as your brothers catch sight of you, and she puts her hand on the revolver at her hip. You don't look like you're from Gunthersville.
Neither do you.
True. We're looking for the Clant twins. You seen them?
Who?
Oh, you know who, don't you?
Listen, we're taking them in. It's over. They're gonna see justice. Don't you worry about it.
I guess I didn't know you had them, but I guess now I do. I'm not sure what kind of justice they're gonna face when a lot of you took some shots at our marshal back there.
I don't know anything about that.
I'm sure you don't. If you want them to face justice, I want you to just hand them over. Rest of the posse will be here soon. We got 20 folk coming down hard. We've been looking all night for them.
I'm afraid I don't take orders from you. I take orders from Thomas Crane. Maybe you heard his name before? Kind of famous around these parts.
She pulls her horse back a little bit, grimacing, spitting in the wet ground.
Now, if you're nice here, I won't have to tell him about this, and you can keep your little town, and nobody's gonna get hurt. But if you keep this up, well, I'm afraid that might be a different story.
The other two riders push their way past the drunken brawl Lucky started, pulling their way up behind her. Emboldened by her compatriots, she confidently pulls her horse to a side position and rests her right hand on the ivory grip of her 6-shooter. This isn't going to completely resolve the situation. Why don't you make an intimidation roll for me to see how this is sitting? I think you'll get a -2 from her disposition, plus whatever you get from being, fucking Ellis's shit.
It's just +2, so it's gonna be flat.
Flat.
Got a 5.
What stake you got in this, friend?
Just taking orders.
Why does Thomas care?
I suppose these twins of yours might be wanted for a little bit more than just rustling, but I don't know.
That ain't good enough.
Okay, well, how can we make it good enough?
Have him send a telegram here. If Thomas wants you to take them, we'll all wait together. Get him in cuffs, put him in whatever jail they got in this.
You think this town can receive and send telegrams? They got a telegraph here?
Shit, I don't know. Fine. We'll send for a telegraph. Send a rider or something. But hold on, you shot your way out of our town.
We were kind of forced to. No offense, but that was a little bit of a...
One of them pulls up from behind her, this other rider with a stocky face.
Somebody else want to jump in here?
Yeah, I was about to.
I was waiting for some open space.
Ellis is not the right person to be talking to these people.
One of the other two pulls up behind her and takes a solid look at you, Ellis. They're going to make a notice roll. What sort of negatives do they have against noticing your harrowed stature?
Well, I don't know if there's any rules for it. I mean, I got the alcohol going.
Okay.
So I don't have to do any sort of... There's no smell. I don't know what the mask would give me. Maybe a +2. I don't know.
I'm just going to roll for both of them. I'm going to spend a GM Benny on one of those. I don't think they notice. Now hold on. Weren't you the ones that set fire to us?
Abel steps forward from where he was helping the driver rig the horses up to the wagon and stands next to Ellis in the drizzle. Why don't you come on down here and we can talk about it? I ain't accustomed to shouting at people on horse. I'm sure there's a solution.
We ain't accustomed to negotiating with jailbreakers and lawbreakers, are we?
You are the lawbreakers in this scenario. You were trying to get these men out of jail to kill them unlawfully. We are the lawmakers.
Abel's eyes, he kind of slowly scans side to side in a very casual motion, but looking for the other boys. Where are Harper and Thaddeus and Lucky in relation to us?
Well, I guess if we're on the same building, right? Like, we can hop down?
I feel like you definitely see Harper either helping the twins climb off the building. He wants to get as many of us ready to hop on some mode of transportation and go as possible. I think he still wants to remain in that sniping spot until it's resolved, but he's trying to get everybody else moving.
Thaddeus moved sort of down the street towards where Ellis and Abel have been dealing with the driver, and he stayed up on the rooftops to get over there. All the buildings are squashed so tightly together, it shouldn't be too hard for him. And I didn't make a stealth roll, but he's not trying to be obvious. So he's staying up and out of sight. But Abel would know to look for the telltale top of his hat or the bit of his spear.
Then Harper is left alone with Hannibal and Reno.
Well, I would probably send them with Thaddeus.
Yeah, that make more sense.
I'm sending them towards the coach the safest way possible.
Then let's cut over to there on that rooftop. Thaddeus is starting to move on the rooftops, away from you, but towards the stagecoach. Hannibal has got his gun set up on the side, the rain drizzling down over the cold barrel. Reno is moving up beside him and is slowly snatching the gun from his hands.
It's a shot of like Harper almost in the background, as in the foreground you can see the gun exchanging hands, and then Harper keeping his eye down the barrel of his gun just says, "All right, you two, you need to follow Thaddeus towards the stagecoach and keep an eye on what's going on down there. Looks like they're setting up to go, so be ready to hop in that coach. All right?"
There's only 3 of them, Harp.
And Reno grabs the gun and steadies it on the side of the building.
"Sure, there's only 3 of them now, but listen." And he kind of takes his eye off of his shot and looks over at her tired. "Listen, kid, you start doing shit like this and there ain't no going back. Just get in the coach. If we need to put somebody down, we'll put somebody down."
Harper, I'd like you to make a persuasion roll.
Oh.
I like that argument. I bought it, like as Reno I bought it, so get a +1, I would say.
All right. Can I argue for another +1 because Harper definitely looks like the type of person who's killed before?
She's seen some shit. Sure.
Yeah. 7.
She thinks about it, and Hannibal puts his hand on her gun. She sighs, and they both follow Thaddeus.
Hell yeah. I think that's the first time I've ever successfully persuaded somebody.
I think you might be right.
I saved a kid from killing somebody, thank God.
All right, you two, stay with me.
I could get the 3 of us into the stagecoach without anybody seeing us.
Oh, if you want to do that, maybe let's just have Isaac. Do you want to make a roll for Abel to keep them distracted long enough for that to occur?
My thought was to like walk them towards the other side of the street away from the stagecoach, but in clear line of sight for like Harper. It's a real clean shot for him.
Yeah, I would buy either intimidation or persuasion.
Standing there in the rain as it washes down and mixes with the mud and the horse shit and the piss running in the streets, the smell slowly starts to rise up into their nostrils. Abel motions with a nod towards a awning and the boardwalk in front of a shop on the side of the street. Let's at least talk out of the rain. I don't know about you, but I don't grow from it. Doing his best to be charming and bring them along with him. Or persuasion. The D4 blew up into another 4, 10 total.
Good rolls tonight.
They dismount even, pulling themselves off their rain-laden horses, tying them to the poles, and then the 5 of you move like underneath one of these awnings, not ruined by the crows. As the camera follows them, it cranes up to the rooftop and then pushes in on Thaddeus, Reno, and Hannibal as they're leaning over the edge above these speaking figures on the opposite side of the street from the stagecoach.
Hey, all right, kids, come on, get in close. All right, well, it looked like your dad and Ellis were looking down at that stagecoach right there.
Yeah, on the right there, below us.
No, that's not the problem. That's what we're using. Get on out of here. Okay.
Should we jump?
No, that'll be too noisy. Especially with all this rain. They'll hear us slash in the mud. No, I got an idea. Here, just a little bit this way.
And he'll sort of guide them a little bit just so that way he can get some line of sight into this stagecoach. I'm assuming it's covered, right? And
Yeah.
we bought it with the intention to have the 7 of us on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's within 20 feet or yards, I guess.
Oh, 20
is
yards?
20 is the increment.
Which is
Smarts
yours.
times 2.
Right.
So that's my range.
Wow.
So
Definitely.
I'm gonna go ahead and spend only 4 power points for this.
Okay.
It's legit just 1 additional point per extra target. So I'm gonna spend 4 power points and teleport my niece and nephew and myself into the stagecoach.
Have you teleported before?
Yeah, what?
I have teleported. Yeah, I teleported. I put an ace on the wall and teleported in front of Abel to catch the Russian mad scientist before he got gunned down in
I
the
don't
streets
remember
of
the
Los
Russian mad
Angeles.
scientist.
The mad scientist in Los Angeles.
The guy that started running from us?
Oh, right. Of
Yeah,
course.
I teleported in front of him.
Wow.
Well, I teleported down the alleyway from him.
Do your niece and nephew see you pull the card and do this? What do they see?
Well, I mean, it's Thaddeus. He's been a card sharp forever, so I think he's pretty nimble about it. But I think he probably says something stupid, right? Like, when is he ever going to get a chance to be the fucking lame uncle, right?
Sure.
No, we don't need to jump. Nah, I got another trick up my sleeve.
And he'll sort of reach for it, and we'll see him pull out of his sleeve, but nothing will come with it, like to the world. But to us, the audience, we know there's that little bit of iridescent smoke that comes off his hand. And then he puts his hand against like the back of some of the facade of the building that we're on, and we see that ace of spades sort of puff onto the surface of it, and then the 3 of us poof into the stagecoach.
Okay, cool.
Shit. Well, there you go.
Wow, that was
Well, I
really
mean,
bypassed.
I guess technically
Oh,
I should.
you gotta roll, yeah.
I should roll. It would be cool. I got an 8, so yeah.
Okay,
Good.
yeah, no problem. No worries. Yeah.
I was worried there for a second.
I talked a big game. What if the dice said no?
So really now the only problem we have is these 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Lucky's standing by the stagecoach. You see your niece, nephew, and Thaddeus pop into it. And they like,
Which is pretty crazy, but sure.
You see sort of some smoke up on the building or
What?
something.
What the fuck?
Shh, hey, keep it down, or you'll ruin the whole point.
Uncle Lucky, get in here.
Hey, yeah.
Who's going to be driving this thing?
stagecoach driver goes, "What the fuck?" That's probably out of tone. Sorry.
What the fuck?
Well,
Holy
there's probably
shit.
there's probably a cool shot where during that sequence, right, where Thaddeus pulls it, we have like an overhead shot above him, so we can see the stagecoach and where they're at on the rooftop together, and so we see them disappear from the top and just the stagecoach like jostle. And so the driver gets confused. He says, "What the fuck?" But it's just we're hopping in, right? We're just hopping in.
And then from that, the camera spins around and comes back down to the ground level, back to Ellis and Abel and the posse.
I would assume we've positioned them, the posse, so that their backs are to the stagecoach, and Ellis and I would be able to see the very strange arrival.
That's what I'm picturing as well. You see your kids like pop their heads out of the stagecoach windows.
Yeah, I made it easy for us to escape. You guys can decide whether we're good guys or bad guys.
We're out of the rain now. You work for Thomas Crane, is what you're saying?
That's right.
Do you have any proof of this?
I am the proof. And if you doubt the veracity of my words, I suggest you take issue with me then, sir.
I do take issue. You set our town ablaze for no reason. If you had justification to take the Clanton twins, why wasn't it more clear cut?
What makes you think we were the ones that set your town ablaze?
What?
What makes you think it was us?
I think they look to each other.
Even as they continue to argue and discuss with Ellis, I think Abel, completely disregarding their reactions, looks over their shoulders to make eye contact with Harper and just points at the one on his far left.
Yeah, Harper moves his rifle over to that one.
Now. I'm not so convinced that any of us started this fire. You had an angry mob there. It was probably one of them. But I know your town has suffered a lot of losses. You got a lot of angry people there. So maybe we can work up some sort of monetary agreement and we can go on our way. What do you say?
We cut up to the rooftop. The drizzle turned to rain, turned to whipping wind, flying off Harper's gun like an athlete not sure of the outcome. His single eye looking down the sighted barrel, down at this third figure. We cut to see Ellis like in the foreground, and behind him, his pistol hanging precariously on Abel's side. We can't quits on account of your word. There's a whole town of people whose whole livelihoods were stolen away by the Clanton twins. You think money's just gonna make this all better? Ellis, you glance back to your brother, one hand hanging over the pistol, and his left hand digging a card out of his pocket.
I think that without even looking at Harper, he already knows what's going on up there. He sees the cards. He knows he can't convince Abel. He can't do anything about Harper. He just shakes his head at Abel and kind of turns back to this guy. Please, friend. Just take the money.
There's a shot of bills plunged into the rain. Make a persuasion roll.
Do I have any negatives for being hard right now?
You do not, because they did not notice.
That's a 1 and a 2, so I'm going to use a Benny.
Yep.
Well, I got a 4.
His eyes look at your expressionless mask, not able to see the sincerity in your eyes, but he can taste the death that waits for him in the air. He extends a hand, takes the stack of bills, nods back to his friends. The three of them mount and ride through the street, Harper's gun held on them at all times. Would-be ghosts of people riding into the rain as the pitter-patter hides them as they head back, never to tell this tale to another soul. We cut back to Ellis, rain pouring down the golden face, Way shaking his head in the background.
Well, we best be leaving while we still can. I once again wave to Harper.
Maybe the last shot we see is his rifle kind of coming off of his target as he lets out a breath, and you can just barely see the cold as his breath dances up.
Thanks to Doug and Allie Nesbitt for lending their voices to Hannibal and Reno Clanton. You can find them on their show, RPG for You and Me, rpgforyouandme.com, or wherever you find your podcasts. You can find Allie on Twitter at YouSeeTheHat. I'm Caleb Sunstead, and you can find me on Twitter at MarshallCaleb. You can find Marshall Sims, who played Thaddeus Crow, on Twitter at MrMalicious1. You can find my brother Abel at Abel the Crow on Twitter, Isaac Sunstead. Thanks, man. You can find Alex Horrell, who portrayed Ellis Crow, at Alex Horrell on Twitter. Lucky Luciana Crow was played by Cameron Day. You can find him on our Discord server. And then Cameron Reed played Daisy Crow, Harper Crow. You can find him on Twitter at CJReed211. Thank you to Alexandria Majan, our executive producer, for making this show possible. Thanks, Alex. You can find her on Twitter at Alexandria Majan. Thanks to Gary Oswald for consultation on this episode. That's our show. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next Monday.